I'd like to welcome to the show from Love is Wine Season 4, Miss Brandie Bowden. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing, Ricky?
I'm excited to chat with you today. My first question to you is what made you want to go on to Love is Blind?
Well, that's funny. I mean, I never envisioned myself as somebody who wanted to go on a dating show. I think I was approached once to be on The Bachelorette or something in my like 20s, but I was just like, no, that would give me too much anxiety, like having all those chicks like competing against each other. And then I just moved back to Washington and I was a single mom and I was still, I was kind of hurt. So I thought, well, I'll give it another chance to start dating. And it was just like terrible on the apps and all that stuff. And I actually didn't apply for the show. A producer reached out to me via Instagram, and I thought it was a joke at first because you just never like know what sort of like invites you get. But no, it was like 100% legit. And she actually kind of like convinced me to do it. I was like, no, like this is like something for, people in their 20s or something, not like somebody in their 30s. And they were like, that's not true. Like, I mean, it would be the first time we had somebody on with a child and, it's an experiment and we're learning as long as, as we go along too. Basically, they were learning about who they like to cast for these sort of shows. So um, I just thought you should just let opportunity come your way and try and put yourself out there. And I thought, okay, if I make an ass of myself, like whatever, like at least I tried and I just didn't give up. And I thought maybe that was an inspiration for other moms trying to put themselves back out there. So that was why I decided to do it. And it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely interesting because when you watch a lot of these, especially like The Bachelorette, it's so whatever. You know what I mean? Like I feel like sometimes
Yeah.
you're watching those shows, like the actuality of what you're saying is the dating apps, they're awful. The typical day-to-day life, being a single mom, not easy in this world. So it's like I want to see more humanized experiences on these reality shows with people that are single parents or have
Yeah.
been through some stuff or actually mature and ready to find love and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Like I knew what didn't work for me. Because I'd been through those situations, and I was fully aware that I was also a participant in, my other romantic blunders. So I was willing to give it a shot with all the like knowledge I had. And I thought it was great because I thought, well, if Netflix can't find, eligible bachelors in Washington State, like I'm not gonna be able to do it. Like they are, they're vetting them, they are making them do background checks, they are asking them, do they feel comfortable with somebody who has a child, like they ask those things up front. And so you kind of already have an idea that there has to be people on there accepting of like your background, but then again, you just never know until you get there, right? So,
So
yeah.
the pod process is something I find fascinating. Obviously, I do know that there's that kind of ever cycle of individuals that kind of go in and out. You're meeting individuals and stuff like that. What was that process like for you?
Well, it was like very interesting. I felt like it was like Love Jail or something. Like they literally took every form of communication we had. They took the TVs out of our rooms. Like we were just to like radio basically for music that night. And like I thought I was, at least gonna have my phone so I could talk to my child. And they're like, no, well, you can talk to a producer if you want to communicate with your child. And I was like, well, that's kind of odd. Like he doesn't understand what a text message is or something. Um, but yeah, it was like extreme. They were filming from like, 8 a.m. till midnight. And sometimes they would do like night dating till like 2 or 3 a.m. And it was just like cameras in your face the whole time. Like you'd try to sleep on the couch, you'd wake up, there'd be like 5 cameras like staring at you, you know. It's just like, really, do you need do you need that close up? Like, and then each day we had topics that, you know, they kind of suggested that we talked about in our dates, like questions we should talk about. Like, you know, one day was about like family, one day was like about sex, and like it was kind of awkward, to be honest, because I don't know. I feel like before you start talking about like your deep sexual things, you've been dating somebody for a while and like you never even met this like person, you know, and you're just like having to have these sort of conversations, and it's being filmed and you're like, okay, I don't really know. I'm like, sorry, mom, you know, like not on top of that, like you're of course like having fun, having drinks and things because they kind of have, you know, a bar set up. And I wouldn't say it's normal dating situation because all you can do is think and talk about love and who you like, and think about like who you shouldn't talk to about love. And because you like, I'd never watched The Bachelorette or anything like that, but I guess there's like strategies. And I felt like some of these girls, like they had been watching this show for like, I don't know, like studying it or something. Like I had no idea about like backstabbing and all this other stuff. I guess it was just like super naive, even though I felt like I was the wisest person there, but I just didn't know. I didn't feel like it was a game, or I felt like it was a game, but I didn't feel like it was like people were going there to actually like fall in love. I don't want to take away from that from people, but I felt like they were going there to just get engaged so they could stay on the show. Like I felt like that's what it was. And I don't know, I guess maybe, I mean, the guys would have to speak for themselves, but I just like, I think I should, if I wanted to get engaged, there was like, I should have been more like flirty or I don't know, lighthearted or something. I guess maybe I was asking like real questions, and that wasn't as fun as some of the other conversations that were being had. So that, who knows? You know, Netflix can just put out whatever they want to edit. So, and they're making a popular TV show, and it is popular for reasons. So I don't know.
So that dynamic of basically you come back, you have those conversations. We see a lot of, well, we don't see a lot of it. Obviously, there's so much
Yeah.
filmed, and we see 12 episodes. I try to explain that to a lot of, you're editing down a lot of things. So we understand the editing process, but obviously the editing process can be brutal to a lot of different people. But
Yeah.
that said, when you kind of get back to the area and you're talking amongst the girls and stuff like that, what's that scene like? And like you said, kind of like it's more dramatic and
Well,
obviously
it's like tension, you know, like I'm a very like empathic person. And so I can just like feel when somebody is like putting on an act or like being snide or sarcastic or, you know, and these things like honestly don't affect me because I was a model for a very long time. So I know when people can get bitchy on set or something like that. It doesn't bother me. But I felt like it really bothered a lot of people. I tried to make them feel like try to have them ignore it, you know. And I didn't take it too seriously. Like it was pretty entertaining, to be honest. Like some of the things I watched, I was like, oh man, you guys can't even pick up garbage. Like you're gonna get married, okay? You know, like it's just like I don't know. I don't know. Um,
let's see. So I did. Was there anybody in the pods that you might have just felt a little bit of a connection with that you had a
oh yeah,
conversation with?
there was some definite, really sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think all the women are wonderful in their own ways. There were some like really sweet people. Like Ava was like super sweet. Bliss is like really genuine person. I I also like Tiffany a lot. You know, and she's I don't know, I just felt like respect for Tiffany. But then I was like friendly with the other girls, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, not really my jam sort of thing. Jack Leah used to make me laugh. Like the whole time. Like the things that were coming out of her mouth, like I was like dead. And same with just listening to Micah and Irina, even though I'm not that kind of personality, but like their banter, sorry, it was so funny. Like I was like dead, you know. I was like, of course you guys are gonna be like a star thing on this. They're like, I don't know, they remind me kind of like bitchy sorority girls or something. Like it was so funny. Um, and I was just entertained the whole time, but I was also like, what am I doing here? This is the wrong format for me. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
whole blind thing. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever go on another dating show again, but
Now on the flip side, like, obviously, because you have the flip side. When you were on these speed dates and then dates and stuff like that, were
yeah.
there any guys that you kind of gravitated towards, or was it just never? It never went to another
There
level of.
there were some matches for me for sure, people I liked. But I felt like I got kind of screwed in the beginning because like some of the first questions that the guys were asking were like, what's your age? You know, and what do you want to have children? And it was like, you know, like I was the oldest person there and I had a kid. So I don't feel bad for them not like ranking me the first choice there because like it's really difficult to want to get married to somebody that you don't even know, but like on top of that like a child is another added layer to that. But I no, in no particular order, I was matched with like Ryland, Paul, Jack, and surprisingly Billy. But even Billy was like not somebody I'd want to like. I could see he had a deep soul, but he was very lost, and that reminded me a lot of my ex, and I just wanted to save him, sort of thing. And I feel like a lot of women probably tried to save him in his life. So no, I mean, I just, I guess I have a soft spot for people who are hurting, sort of thing. So, but the other thing was like, oh my gosh, these guys are 28, 29, 30, and I just, I don't think it was fair in the aspect that there was the average age was so younger than the women, because that's a big difference between a guy who's like 30 years old and a guy who's like 35 years old, you know?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I'm not to be ageist too, but there is a
No, there's a
difference.
maturity level. There's the
Yeah.
factor of the kids. So, do you think so in the process? Let's just say future things. Do you think that it would be better that they don't spearhead early on with questions like that? Because it does not. Like you're right. Like there's a guy on the other side of the wall. You're
Mm-hmm.
your age. They're your age. The first thing when you want kids, and you're like, well, I have a kid. Then that's like an automatic switch for
Yeah.
most
Like I felt,
immature, I'll say it, immature, and even maybe even mature, like kids or adults, men
mm-hmm.
that are looking at a scenario of dating,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of held back your situation, basically.
Yeah. Like, because each day you're supposed to like rank who you had the best dates with or whatever. And I felt like since that first day, I had been automatically put into like a lower category because of these certain things. Um and also I found out that the guys had start like a point system that they were like ranking the girls like based on they were sharing what happened during their dates like together. And you know, I don't know who they were. I kind of heard that they had like Amber and Micah were supposedly like the hottest girls based on like all their stats, you know. So they were always like very popular. But um I felt like this is a show that's not supposed to be about how hot somebody is, but I mean, you obviously have to have attraction as you've seen when the reveal happens and two people see each other and they're like, nope, you know, like I don't care how well the, you know, connection is with personality. So,
I agree with that. And I think that even even if you look past some of the things that Irina did, I felt like she got a lot of flack for what she did, obviously, with him. And I'm not saying everything she did was she was right, but you're right. There has to be, you could have an emotional connection, but if you're never physically attracted to the individual, it's not going to get any
It won't
further
work.
than, yeah. And it's like, they made the right decision early on of saying, hey, this is not going to work. This is not going to fly. But
Mhm.
do you think that, like, I don't know, like, so I guess I'm trying to figure out how do we, how does that get fixed there with that? I think, is it maybe like the age gap needs to be more closer? Is that what we think here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been studies done. I don't know one in particular, but like women typically like to date or marry men that are their age or older. I don't know if that's just how we've been brought up, unless I've never personally been in like a cougar situation before. So I mean, some women are all about it. That's awesome. And my youngest brother was like their age, and I just kept thinking like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, that's a lot to take on. Even though you're an adult, in your 20s, but I don't. I think it takes a while to be solid.
So you film all of this stuff,
Yeah.
then the show gets ready to air. Did you have any knowledge of what you were or weren't going to be on the show at all
I
ahead of
was
time?
so surprised because there was like other people that didn't have as much connections either as me, and they were like actually pictured in the background and stuff like that. And for some, I don't know who I pissed off or not, but like I was literally not in like any background shots or anything. And like they gave us like pictures from the show in like a Dropbox that we could use on our social media and stuff. And there was like one picture of me, like a far away photo, and like it was like grainy and like that was it. And I was like, what? Like I definitely had funny moments and like talked to people and had friendships and things, but I was just, I don't know, it's just bizarre. But I'm sure they have a reason for that. I don't know what the reason is. Yeah, when it was just embarrassing because I had like told all of my friends about it and they were like super hyped and they're like, I can't wait to see you, back out there and blah blah blah. And I just didn't even get like any sort of acknowledgement. And I had like spent a ton of money on like a nanny and all this stuff. But I feel like there's a blessing in disguise. Like everything happens for a reason. And like maybe I was protected in some way from bullying. Like I had already been through a bunch of drama in my life. Like I didn't need to have more televised drama, I guess. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that being said, now obviously from that point of view, what was it like kind of watching? You watched the show?
I've seen like tidbits, but honestly, like I already knew what happened and then some. And so I honestly don't have a ton of time to watch TV right now. Like I work full time and then I'm also in school. So, and I have a kid. So I'm just like, don't, I know I will watch it, probably with a glass of wine, like at some point. And I'm on the group chat. So I'm seeing like people commenting on stuff, which has been really funny to see. Yeah, I'm happy for the people who did find that connection, and I hope that everything can work out for them and all the best. It's hard to find someone these days, I feel like, with all the options and everything you have.
What's something that you learned about yourself with your time on the show?
um I learned that I needed to like give myself more credit and not be so hesitant to like put myself out there and like I guess more confident. And I had relied heavily on how I looked to talk to guys. I realized that I didn't have really any spit game at all. like flirtiness. Like I feel like April was like the wittiest person ever. Like these girls were so smart and funny. And I'm also very smart, but I just like I didn't have that. And that's fine. This is how I am. So
Oh, obviously, since the show and since your
Mhm.
time on that show, we've obviously, you kind of came out on your social media there with the new man in your life.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and what's
Well,
that been like?
I did not meet him on a dating app or anything. He was actually someone that I was friends with for a year, and it was right in front of my face. Like, I work with him, and I just didn't give him a chance because I thought I wanted like what I had dated in the past, which would equal somebody that looks good on, he does look good on paper, but like in a different way. And he was like a very kind person and not like an asshole, which I was used to that sort of angst, that tug. And yeah, I guess I had learned that it's more about the heart and like how much somebody like cares about you, who's gonna go to bat for you, you know? And this man, and don't make me tear up. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful dad. He's works hard and he has good heart. He takes care of me, so it's good. Hmm. And
Let's
he's a real estate broker, so he's we can talk about work, and he's really funny and smart, so it makes me
That's
laugh.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. You know what I mean? And you're right. I think when you look at how everything unfolded, it's like a perfectly timed situation and thing.
Hmm.
Your trip on the show was what it was, but it led you to him. So that's fantastic. Or I wouldn't say led that specific thing, but maybe along the way, it opened your eyes a little bit. So that's great.
Yeah, it definitely opened me up to realize that like it made me ask questions to people I didn't know that I needed to ask to somebody I did know, you know? Like
Yeah.
somebody that was there was like already shown that they had like a heart of gold, you know? But yeah, so it's been a year. A lot has happened in a year.
That's awesome. It's truly amazing. I love that. I love that for you. Love that journey for you. Anything else about the show that maybe is like a misconception or anything like that, or any advice you have for somebody that might want to go on the show?
Hmm. I feel like the show's changed a lot. Like I feel like it was this really sweet thing, like when it first started, and it was like a real connection thing. And now I feel like people have figured out the equation, and they know that in order to stay on, that they have to get engaged, and it's kind of changed it. I feel like it's made it kind of a bit more nasty. I don't know in a sense, but I encourage anybody to put themselves out there regardless. So if that's how you want to do it, I go for it. You know, people ask me for their advice to get on the show, and I'm like, I honestly don't know. Like, I didn't try out. They asked me. I was like, I had some cute photos, I guess, on Instagram. I don't know.
Just keep your DMs open. Just always check your DMs.
Just
That's
keep your
how.
DMs. Yeah. Just go to the gym and cute and funny and have, you know, be open, I guess.
All right. So I got a couple quick fire questions before we go here. Just some fun stuff.
Sure.
Coke or Pepsi?
Cook.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
I already knew that one just because I saw the cat in the background earlier.
Yeah.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Hot coffee or cold coffee?
Hot.
Oh, wine or
Just because I'm
beer?
in Washington, it's freezing. It's freezing.
That's a good point. Wine or beer?
Yeah. What is wine or beer?
Wine or
Oh,
beer?
wine. Yeah, wine.
Is hot dog a sandwich?
No.
All right, good. That's I love asking
Good.
the question.
All right.
But yeah, so before we go, where can everybody find you? What's ahead for Brandie and stuff like that?
People can find me on my Instagram, Brandie with an IE, Bowman, BOWMAN underscore. And that's about it. I have a website, brandiebowman.com. I am doing, you know, if people need coaching, just help or anything like that, I'm really into meditation and I can help you with that. If anything real estate questions, I've been doing that for 10 years. So I know a lot about the area and everything. And yeah, just if you want to say hi, reach out. I don't know.